Hello, I'm Sage Meadows. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm this year's oSTEM Hackathon team lead. Now, in this short video, I'll be introducing you to the oSTEM Hackathon training. Now, this training is meant to take you from a beginner level in coding experience or wherever you may be at in your coding experience to the level you need to be at to successfully participate in a hackathon on a team. Now, oSTEM as a club is planning to participate in future hackathons. Unfortunately, the one at conference this quarter got canceled, so we'll no longer be participating in that because it's not happening now. But that is good, kind of, because it gives us even more time to train. So instead of like having 7 weeks to watch these videos, you'll now have 10 weeks. So you could pace yourself a lot better. But in the future, we do plan to possibly attend a hackathon at conference when they host one, or possibly as a club. At Cal Poly, we're thinking of just hosting our own oSTEM hackathon, so this training will help you get prepared for that. So you may be wondering, what is a hackathon in the first place? So a hackathon is a competition where programmers, coders, developers, designers all get together and form small teams to compete against one another. And usually at a hackathon, what happens is you get a prompt or a problem, and then your team has to come up with a solution to solve that problem. And usually that entails coding a game, an app, a website, and the list goes on and on. And at the end of the hackathon, all teams are evaluated and compared against each other. Winners are chosen, prizes are given out, and it's super fun and you make a lot of connections. So now that you know what a hackathon actually is, you're probably wondering what coding languages are you going to use at these events. Well, at hackathons, there's not really a standard coding language you use. Usually you're put on a team and your team decides what tools you would use to make the app you're thinking about in your head to solve the problem. So now it's usually good for you and your team to have a basic understanding of a common coding language so you can all collaborate easier. So as a club, as oSTEM, we're going to be using MERN Stack, and that's the tool I chose to use for these training videos because I felt like it was really easy to learn and it's also full stack, so you could get a fully functioning application at the end. So what is MERN Stack generally? So MERN stands for MongoDB, Express, React, and Node. And these are all four tools that work together to create a full stack web app. So in this training, we're going to go from the very beginning and make our own full stack web app fully functioning. And I'll get into that later and show you the example project we're going to make. But here's a little bit of definitions of which each of these terms are. So I'm not going to go into the technicals yet, but this is just a basic definition of each tool. So MongoDB is just a database where you store users and all that type of stuff. And then Express is a web framework on the server side, and React is a client side web framework, and Node is a JavaScript web server. So I'll go into the technicals later because this is just an introduction video to the training. But yeah, that's the software tool we'll be using to make web apps. Web apps are also very good to make at hackathons because you can pretty much solve any problem through a web app. So they're very flexible. So that's why we're learning MERN Stack. It's also the exact thing you learn if you take some of the classes here at Cal Poly, specifically CSE 307, 308, and 309. The software engineering classes all cover MERN Stack. So this is just a little diagram on how all these four things work together. I'm not going to really go into this. I just want it to display how they all work together to create a full functioning web app. So you have React here on the client side, like in your browser, and then you have the server with Express and Node, and then you have the database where you could store users and other information you want to store. So this is the general hackathon training schedule for this quarter. This is not a concrete schedule. It may change depending on how fast people are getting things and we get things done, but this is kind of set in stone in the kind of order we're going to actually build the web app. So week 1, I gave you all a break because we're getting orientated into classes. So now we're on week 2. And in week 2, we're doing the introduction, which is this video. And then the next video is going to be getting your development environment installed and all set up so you can start coding. And then we're going to go into design. And then we're going to do the same thing for week 3 and 4 with design. And then week 5 through 6, we're going to be setting up our backend, which will be using REST API with MongoDB and Node.js. And then week 7 through 9, we're going to connect our front end to the back end. And that's what's going to create a fully functioning site. And then week 10 is going to be a little flexible. You're going to be adding your own features if you want to. And there's also going to be some optional recommended exercises, like little ideas I think you should do to add to your site so you could kind of learn by doing. So this is the site web app we'll be creating through these hackathon trainings. I just called mine Connecting Pride, and the purpose of the site is for people to get resources and learn about LGBTQ history and things going on in the community currently, and that's why I named it Connecting Pride. Now, in these hackathon trainings, you do not need to make a Pride-themed website if you don't want to. It could be anything you want as long as the site can follow the tutorials nicely. And so it just needs to be a site where you can upload news articles and upload information, and it has users, and then from there you could just use this to make any type of site you want. It could even be a portfolio. So as you can see, each article has a title and an image, and there's a sidebar explaining the site and what oSTEM is. And each article has its own unique page with its description and its text. And each article has its own author. That's just a random test account I made. If you click on it, you could see all posts made by that author. And you could go back to homepage and it'll display all the articles again. So you can also create a new user on the site to post things. And in this example, I'm just going to put Cal Poly oSTEM. And I'm going to put that for the email, and then I'm going to create a random password, and then I'm going to click create account, and that's going to make a new account in the database. So once you create your account, you could then log in. So I'm just logging in here, and once you click login, you'll go right to the home page. So once you're logged in, you can see you're logged in by seeing the logout button, and you can also write new posts. So here I'm just creating a new post, and you could also tell you're logged in by your profile icon on the top. And that's just the default profile icon, the little rainbow guy. And you could also upload images in this exact post. I'm not going to upload an image. And then you could click post, and it takes you to that new post. You can see it's by me, and the date is correct. And you could also edit that post in the future. So here I'm just editing it. And then you can also see that post show up on the home page now. So that's our post, and we could click it. You could also delete the post if you want, if you don't want it anymore. And see, it's gone. And there's also a settings page, so you could change your credentials for your account. So you could just see that there. And yeah, that's the site we'll be making. You could log out. So now that I showed you the actual app we're going to be developing through these training videos, it's time to actually go on to the next video and start setting up our development environment so you could actually start making this great web app. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video.